was the scariest moment in your 30 years in the CIA?
It was in Latin America, down where the cartels were working, still are working. It's still all going on. I was down there doing some work at the embassy, and they said, we'll pick you up in the morning. They put me in a hotel. They said, we'll be here in the morning. We'll be here at like 9:03. I said, okay. They said, we'll wait for 2 minutes and we'll leave. And if that doesn't work out, we'll get in touch in the afternoon. So I was out there at 9:03. I wasn't going to be left behind. They said, you have to be very, very careful in this country. It's dangerous here, just randomly dangerous because of drugs. So I did the work in the embassy that I went down to do. And I went back to the hotel and I discovered, I'm out of cigarettes. It's back when I used to smoke almost 2 at a time. I had to go get cigarettes. So I went out down the street around the corner to a kiosk and got some cigarettes. And then I'm walking back to the hotel and I see there's a shortcut. This is stupid. So I took the shortcut and I come around kind of a corner and there's like 20 young, drunk local guys, armed. You could just smell the beer. And I look wrong. The women down there in that part of the world dress like $1 million and red lipstick, and they just look fabulous. And I was not looking fabulous. I wasn't looking like them. And you could just see that they all turned and they were like, and I figured later, I said, I don't think they thought I was CIA. I bet they thought I was narcotics person, American narcotics down there checking on them. I really thought that they might shoot me. That's one of the few times that I just held my breath. And I'd had all this training, and my training said to me, you cannot turn around and go back. You have to walk through these guys.
Really? Why walk through them?
Because to turn around and go back would reaffirm that something was wrong here. You just had to show confidence and keep going. So I did. And they kind of separated, and I walked through them. And then I had to keep going to get out of that alley. And I couldn't turn around and look at them. And I thought maybe someone's going to shoot me. And they didn't. So I went in the lobby of the hotel and opened that package and got a cigarette. I couldn't even smoke it. I was just like this.
Provide a lot of wisdom and advice. One being that you found yourself in this job as a secretary, and you were excellent at it, and it had a ceiling. And for somebody who feels like they've hit the ceiling of their potential or their role, what would your advice be?
Make a change. I changed more than once. I went in and did the photo thing, and I loved it. But I did a trip out to India along the way, filling in for somebody doing photo work in India. I fell in love with India, just adored it. So I came back to Washington, found my career person. I said, I would like an assignment there. He said, there is no photo job coming up. The only thing coming up is disguise. And this was a turning point in my career, but I didn't know it then. It's like, well, how badly do you want to go to India? And this is probably not a smart thing to do, to change your career track in the middle of your career. But it was a smart thing to do. I ended up being a person who could do all this photography stuff. I could also do all of this disguise stuff and a little bit of counterfeiting, forging over here. And that's how I ended up with the disguise piece of it.
For the person who's listening, who's afraid to make a change, what would you say?
Some changes are really, really hard. I mean, if it's going to cost you a salary and you have to start again, or if you have to move, or if some changes involve more than just changing your workday, they change other things. But I think change is the most refreshing thing any of us can do. You get good at what you do. You love what you do it well. Okay. And you could keep doing it for the rest of your life. And a lot of people do. And there's not a thing wrong with that. But you could say, let me take a look around. What else is there? Is there something as interesting? Something I'd like to fiddle around with?
Well, what's interesting about your story is it illustrates something that I've always found to be true, which is yes, the change feels scary. And yes, it can be hard. And yes, it can feel overwhelming because you think you're starting over. But your story proves a truth, which is you took absolutely everything with you. You're never starting over. You're building on that experience. You took your excellence as the right-hand person to the chief. Then you took all this skill from photography, and then you ended up in this role in India. And it was all the experience and the pivots that positioned you to become the chief of disguise. But we don't think about that fact when we're making the change, that we're starting over, so to speak, but we're actually not, because we're doing it with experience.
True.
What do you say to a woman who's really feeling underestimated?
I say aim high.
Hmm.
Aim high. Don't underestimate yourself. You know, the others might do that. You know yourself better than anyone else. Aim higher even than you think you might be able to accomplish. But that's how you climb. One step at a time, reaching. Maybe you can do it, maybe you can't, but try it. There's something I've never really.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, I am not built for this. Like, I'm holding my breath when you're telling the story about the Billy Joel tape. Like, I'm just sitting here listening, and I'm not even breathing. I recognize that I wasn't breathing as you were in the alley telling me the story. How did you learn to do that? And how can I and the person listening learn to tap into some bravery when life is scary or challenging?
You know, I think it's preparation. I think it's a confidence that comes out of thinking it through, knowing what you should do, knowing how to do what you should do. And then you kind of, in these kinds of moments, you kind of have to forget you, and you have to go through these motions. It's not bravery. This is born out of experience and out of training. We train for this stuff all the time. If you read my book, you'll say, my God, were you ever not in training? Because they trained us all the time. They put me through a hostile interrogation course at the CIA's farm. It was one of the worst things that ever happened to me in my life. And in the middle of it, I know it's just a training exercise. I mean, I know that I'm not going to get hurt. I know that nobody's going to let anything happen to me, but I was scared to death. I'm claustrophobic. So they put me in boxes. They put me in a box that I thought of as a mattress box, because you could only go in sideways, and you couldn't turn your shoulders. You could barely turn your head. And standing in there for some long time, and I thought, I don't think, I know this is just a training course, but I know I'm supposed to be learning something here, but I don't think I can do this any longer. And I learned something. I remembered that we had talked to some POWs from Vietnam, and the POWs had said, we got through years of this stuff, and you get through it in your mind. You have to find your happy place. You have to build a car, rewire your engine and your whatever. You need a project.
Where did you go in your mind?
That's the funniest thing. There's a place back in Kansas called the Flint Hills. It's a tall grass area. It's just beautiful. And I went there, and it was like I had on infrared goggles. So everything was green, and it was just gorgeous, and it was kind of moving. And I was just so happy. And I did that. I didn't think that would ever work for me, but that's how I got through it.
Do you have any advice for how the person listening could find a place like that for themselves, like where their happy place to go to in their mind if their current reality is really scary or challenging?
I think anybody could do that. I don't think you have to be scared to death or, in a really bad place. I think sometimes just the day to day, you need an escape hatch, a place that gives you that kind of warm, rosy glow. We all have those places. I know at one point in that box, I thought, okay, we'll do,
Me.
yeah. Now, I don't know how you get that back, but it'd be worth working on it.
I innately believe in the endless potential for change and in people's capacity to grow and learn from their mistakes and to become better versions of themselves. And whether you're thinking about it on an individual scale or you're thinking about it on a global scale, I still think, as dark as things can feel, there is so much more light out there, and there are more people that believe what you believe and that want what you want than not. I believe that the vast majority of people are good and they want the best for themselves and their families and their neighbors, and that we all miss being able to work together to solve our problems because we can.
That's a wonderful way of summing it up.
So if there's one skill, if you think back through your remarkable career at the CIA, that myself and the person who's listening really needs in order to navigate the world today, what is it?
I think the idea of courage is misunderstood. I think a lot of people think that courage is something that you walk around with, that it's inherent in us, and I think it is not. I think courage comes from confidence. Confidence comes from knowledge, from knowing what you're doing, understanding how you can impact a thing. I think that's the important. You don't just become courageous. You don't come around a corner and there's a bear. It's not like that at all. You don't come around that corner at all. There could always be a bear waiting for you there, but courage is a lot more complicated than a lot of people think. But it's something that everyone can develop. Everyone can have. If I can have courage, anyone can have courage.
How could the person who doesn't feel like they have a lot of courage, how could you start practicing that in your everyday life?
You could start confronting things that are on your list, things that scare you. It might even be people. You might start having a conversation with someone that you weren't sure you could have that conversation with them. You have to approach it. You have to exercise it. You have to learn courage.
There was